What's going on, Moperc family? It's Eric from A Percussion Life, and I've been getting a lot of questions on the parts of these Moperc drums, and man, I'd rather answer them on this platform to help all of us learn it together. And yeah, so a lot of these things I'm gonna use some technical terms and just follow along, and hopefully I can explain it to you. But here you would have a normal basic conga drum. These are all the same sizes, 11.75 inches. Moperc drums, and they're all roughly have the same shape, even though they're different series. So something that Moperc does is that they normally use all the same shapes, and except for two series that they have, that is normally the Rumbero series and the 30th anniversary. Those have very different shapes exclusive to Moperc, but normally this is the shape that you would normally see on all their drums. So please understand that the shape is what makes the drum with the wood and the build quality and all of that. So understand, if you get something like this and versus something like this, it's normally going to have roughly the same sound, except with distinct characteristics with the type of wood that you would choose. We'll talk about that in a bit. But if you see here, you see a drum that's consisting of various staves. If you've seen the video, please watch it. It's on my channel, and I invite you to see how that whole process is. But it consists of solid staves cut out to a specific shape that makes this. And each one is glued together and put together to make this piece of art. Inside this part, under the skin, is just the wood. You would call that the bearing edge. Normally, it's just some like rounded off part that, again, is part of the construction process for them to make it what it is. Here on the side, holding these lugs are called side plates. These are called side plates, and what they do is they help with the tension, and there's a specific design as to why they do that, and it does not cause damage to the wood. And as well, there's various different styles of them offering. You see a rumbero style, a traditional style, and as well as a custom style. And this actually has a very unique way of why they constructed it this way to also keep the drum intact. Very, very important. And it's something kind of genius in a way that allows them to retain the tension without damaging the wood. Now we go to the lugs. The lugs are stainless steel and very important, as well as they help maintain the health of the drum and the tuning of the drum. And up here, what you see is something called a crown. A crown is what basically holds the drum head in place and with all the tension and connecting it with the drum itself, and it allows all of this to kind of work together to give a beautiful sound and a consistent sound. Now, what's actually under this skin is something called a flesh hoop, and a flesh hoop is normally something that allows the drum head or the skin to kind of set in a way with the crown. So if you see under, you're gonna see the skin kind of like overlapping inside of it, and that's kind of the really cool part, is that you get to experience that firsthand while seeing it, and then also it kind of develop with its own tone through time. That's called breaking in, especially when you start breaking in the drum. And of course, on the top part, you have what is called a drum head or skin, depending on what style you play, either synthetic or rawhide. And rawhide just means that it's an actual animal skin that has been developed in a way to be used for drumming. Now we'll get to like some specs, and what you have here is something called bands. Bands are normally just something that would used to hold the drum staves, the staves as we just spoke about, intact. But now, especially with a lot of better glues and modern way to build drums, the bands are now just more for aesthetic, but they still serve a purpose in the sense of they look really good. But something unique to Moperc is that they have some space here because, again, since it's real wood, it expands, it attacks, and you want to be able to have something like this where it's able to stretch and kind of go back in place. So that's really interesting in regards to that. But again, it does not do anything to the sound or the construction. It's just more for looks, and it really kind of like pays homage to just the old traditional style of conga drums. Then you have different types of wood. Here we have a very, very rare and exotic wood called mahogany. Mahogany is something that, to my knowledge, only Moperc has been offering genuine mahogany, and you can get those drums when the wood is available. And it's kind of interesting because it has a very unique sound, and it's a very traditional sound. And there's various different types of, you would say, characteristics in the mahogany. There's a little bit more dense mahogany where it's a little bit darker and the wood is a little bit heavier, or lighter mahoganies. Again, if it's available, that it's just a lot lighter. But in actuality, it all just changes the sound because each wood has a characteristic. So when people say mahogany drums or walnut drums, they're referring to the type of wood that the drum has been made. And just careful when people say that. In actuality, it's not really that type of wood. There's a lot of companies that claim to be ash, but in actuality, it's not all ash. It's somewhat plywood or just a very thin layer on the outside, kind of giving off that impression. When you're looking at these drums, like I said, they're solid staves, so they're big pieces of cut wood that make this drum together in pieces as one whole unit. So it's a beautiful thing to kind of get there and to see it all firsthand. And at the bottom of the drum, you have a rubber protection right here that, again, allows you to play on a surface where it doesn't cause any damage to the drum, and as well kind of like absorbs all that shock when you're playing. And to finalize, a nice logo in the front. Again, these are all aesthetics, and oftentimes you can get the standard logo that Moperc will offer, or a custom one with your name on it here on the side. But yeah, those are the parts of a conga drum. You have the staves that are made in that particular shape. You have the side plates holding the lugs that are tensioned to the crown, that are part with the flesh hoop and the drum head. But what's most important is the workmanship and the craftsmanship of making these drums and doing it all by hand, making sure they will last a lifetime. Really do hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see you guys in the next one.